people you've loved and lost, they're never gone. They're always that connection that you made and that love when they were alive, and especially particularly heightened emotions. They're always there. You know, you form a connection that doesn't die when they die, because everything is still here. Everything's still going on all at the same time. It's just that your perception, your ability to connect with that has faded into something new. But they're all still carrying about their own business everywhere, you know, doing everything that they ever did. And if you particularly had a real close connection with them, then when you can speak their name and bring them back, you can bring up who they are, and you can start talking about memories, and particularly when you go back to memories that you had. If you remember that they're here, you know, they're around us, whenever we sort of speak about them and connect with that consciousness again, you know, it's particularly when we go into places where they've been, because obviously there's a very strong electromagnetic memory at that point that is still carrying on. So when you go there and you speak to them and everything else, you sort of connect those spooky action at a distance, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, but you know, you connect with that old memory that they had. And there's many ways you can tell when you've connected with a spirit. I mean, obviously you can just feel them. As soon as you bring their name up and you start bringing back memories, you can just feel them almost become you. You know they're in the room. You know, I know people who could name them by names and go, oh, so-and-so's over there, so-and-so's over there. And they're not joking. They really do. They can tell you things that they would never know about your experiences with them. You know, clairvoyance, especially one particular that, you know, that I've spoke to in the past. And, you know, I'm at the point where I can feel them all the time. I've been like that all my life. I've always felt spirits around me. And you know they are by the feeling of the energy, because people carry their own particular energies. It's like their stamp on the world. It's their stamp on that particular part. And that's why when you go around large rocks, water sources, things like that, it tends to muddy the waters between realities. It tends to thin the veil when you speak and you're around places that they've been, or even when you're not. It doesn't really matter, but it's a lot easier when you're around somewhere they've been. Hence why a lot of clairvoyants need to be taken to buildings where someone lived in order to feel the spirit. And another way that you find that you know that a spirit's actually occupying the same space as you, or they walk through you or anything like that, is because you feel like a cobweb sensation on your face. Is a bit like if you walk around your car in the morning and you know you live next to trees, or you got loads of trees and you walk through them, and you can feel that those fine webs that the spiders have sort of swung on overnight, you can feel them sort of brush on your face, and you're sort of wiping them off like this. That's basically what you get when you're walking through the house. So when you're in a room, you'll feel that cobweb sensation on your face. You'll keep trying to brush it off, but it won't actually go. It's so close. It's such a close feeling to the very fine spiders' webs that get, you know, that you walk into. It's almost exactly the same. There is a very, very slight difference, but then you know that they're around you. But you can also just feel their spirit. If you've got a soul and you've got that energy still about you, you know, you haven't been taken away by society and all the hatred around you and stuff like that. You tend to get very, very close to that connection. You know, you do have connections to the universal consciousness. I don't know what you want to put it, really. Everything that's happened will happen and has happened. You get little insights. You know, all these happened particularly when you're in relaxed states, when you're just sort of pondering on something. Maybe you've been tormented by something, but then you get that relaxing feeling afterwards. You just think, oh, you know, you've overcome it, if you know what I mean. And you get that relaxing feeling afterwards, and you just pondering on things. And another way, so talking about the connection to spirits and connection to universal consciousness and things. We get a lot of insights when we're in the showers and stuff, and there's lots of reasons for that. Even just a normal shower with a fiberglass bath, you're not grinding out, it's plastic pipes, and everything else. Even in that, with an electric shower or whatever you've got, you still get that sense of things that come to you, and there's many different reasons for that. And one of the reasons is that obviously you're in a state of wonder. There's nothing else you can do when you're in the shower and the shower's landing on you. Obviously it's landing on you and tickling your senses, like making your nervous system connect with your brain, and everything's like working overtime due to the temperature and and everything else. Hence why some people have cold baths and they connect with their inner body and stuff. It's all the same thing. You're sort of hacking that nervous system. But also there's a sense of that wonder, the sense of just standing there in the shower and feeling it hit you, but then just looking around and you've got nothing to look at as such, but you're just observing around you, and then thoughts come into your head. If you don't get them down by the time, sometimes if you don't get them down on something before you get out of the shower, then they just go, and that's because you've connected with something that's a bit higher. It's a bit. It's like it's not in this realm. It could be, or it is in this realm, obviously, but it's not connecting with you until you get that stimuli, of the water landing and everything else. And there's another part to that as well. Obviously, science is always scraping to catch up, and they won't let you believe anything that they haven't proven, first of all, even though they haven't already proven anything. And everything changes all the time anyway. But there's this thing with water where when it gets heated, so when water's in a cold state or an average state, and then it gets heated, there's a pulse of energy that it releases that's not measurable by volts or anything like that. It's just that it's energy on a different level, and it as your water's coming out the shower, it isn't long away since it come through like cold from outside, and then it gets heated by the heating source, and then falls straight onto you. And this is the same reason why you can go near big bodies of water, lakes or the ocean. It doesn't really matter. It's all the same stuff, but you can get great insights just bobbing up and down in the water and stuff. It's the same sort of thing. I suppose in a way your body is warming up the water on the surface of your skin, probably having the same effect. But yeah, and rocks, rocks are known for, especially large rocks, a lot of the mysteries behind the 411 missing videos, which David Politis talks about in the national forests in America. A lot of that he talks about. He don't like to go into, for instance, any conspiracy theories. An ex-detective, so he's very factual, but he will say, for some reason, I'm just making a connection, for some reason, everything that happens when the veils go thin and people just disappear and then turn up somewhere else in a cave on a cliff face, which they could never ever just walk to in that time, let alone barefoot because they've left their clothes behind or whatever. They just disappear one day, and then they find them like sort of 7 days later, or a couple of weeks later, just they've almost got no memory. It's like they entered a different plane and then can't bring that memory back with them. And these people always seem to go missing near large rocks and bodies of water. So you can see these connections around you everywhere. Buildings themselves, especially fire hearths, and then you've got fire, so you've got another major element. But when you've got the fire hearths and they're all made of stone, and loads of people have sat around there in the past, like warming up, that would have been the hub of the house. And if you're living in an old house that's built of stone, and it's built, odds on it's built without a damp-proof course, then it's obviously earthing out to the ground. So you've got your own sort of, I used to call my old cottage I lived in like a mini megalith. And I know I've spoke years and years ago, I spoke on the fact that when I was in the shower and I had some of my biggest insights I ever had in my life, it wasn't even me, like it just wasn't my mind, it was just something else connecting. Like I describe it as a modern day version of it would be like a download. You've been given a download, and that was because obviously I was stood on an old stone tray with an old copper fitting at the bottom, and it would go along then, and straight the water when I showered would go along then into a clay pipe, and that clay pipe would be connected to a cesspit, and the cesspit was never emptied. It was one of those ones that ran down through the rocks, so we had to use non-chemical stuff. Obviously we didn't want to damage anything, so we just made it into its own organism, if you know what I mean. So I'm connected with everything in those rocks as well, and the house is built on rocks, and the clay pipes are buried in the rocks because there's not much clay or anything there. You dig down a little bit and there's the rocks. And yeah, there was that sense of connection there. You still get it. You get it whether you're earthing out through the shower or no. But it's interesting to see that element with how hot water, when it changes from the cold to hot state, how it releases an energy that's not very easy to measure. Not on our with our equipment. And obviously, like I said, science won't let you believe it, not until they've sort of proven and repeated something. But you just got to leave them behind. They're so far behind the curve is unreal. But yeah, so we've always known about, our ancestors knew about it. They naturally lived in that state. They knew that ancestors were around and everything else. We've just lost it because we've all become like, I'm not talking about you guys or myself or whatever, but as a general population now, people have become completely disconnected through materialism and never left in a state of wonder. Everybody's always fighting for position. It's like humanity's gone through its sort of steady phase where it's building, and it's reached that sort of top and it's just toppling over the top now, where it has a big crash, but the likes of us will be all right because we'll be connected to our ancestors. We'll get gut feelings because we still get that. Some people don't, but we get those gut feelings, those heart feelings, and thoughts come into our head from somewhere, and it's like, don't do that, don't listen to this person, or don't make this choice, not that one, or you must do this now. We all get those sort of intrusive thoughts. Science would have you believe that you're going insane or something, because they're all like, hardcore atheists with no interconnection at all, because they've shut that off many years ago when they started only believing what they see physically happen in the physical world. So they disconnected that section of them. But after they've done that, you can't really, there's no communicating with them, because they are then in a funny sort of way, they're possessed, right? And yeah, they've got to see things happen in a laboratory. They can't. I mean, there's some of them that get thrown off that course by experiences in their lives, and it does change them forever and make them look at it in different ways at different things. But sometimes they're easily roped back in as well, because they've still got that mindset. Everything has to be absolutely factual. If I wrote a book on anything to do with this, or even grieving or anything, I'd probably have to call it fiction, because I wouldn't be able to prove anything. But we know it. But if I was to sit down and write a book, no matter how long I took to write it, no matter how much research I'd done, it would still have to be classed as fiction. But that's fine. I'm happy with that, as long as the words get out, But yeah, it's like a big it's not that you're fighting other people, it's that you just need to go on and live your life the way that you want to live it, with your own belief. And the more that it sounds silly, but the more that you believe in that eternal sort of connection that you have to your ancestors, the more gut feelings you get and the more insights you get, especially when you're relaxed. And the best time to do that, obviously, is when you wake up in the morning. It's now, I don't know what time it is now, but it must be getting on for like 11 a.m. I've just not long ago wrote a post on Facebook called Ghosts of the MPC. So I don't know what the date is today, but I usually like to say the date now for obvious reasons, just in case it gets messed about with in the future, these videos taken down or whatever, and I can re-upload them somewhere else. But yeah, it's like it's Sunday anyway. This December 2023 and it's Sunday. Yeah, it's like I was saying this morning as well. There's an element of that to do with my post this morning that I said the ghosts of the NPC, and basically in a nutshell, I was just describing the people that we know who used to have that spark in life, that charisma, that they always thought differently, and they wouldn't let anybody. They were quite independent of everything, if you know what I mean. They were free thinkers for themselves, and they were always seen as an inspiration, always come up with new ideas and new things. And when you walked in a room, the room lighted up because they were just around you, and you could bounce off each other and everything else. And you just seen them, just you've seen that spirit just leave their body, and particularly with events a few years ago. I'm not going to mention anything to do with that, but yeah, when you see that, when you see them just disappear, they're like they've disappeared from their body. It's really hard because you're sort of grieving that loss of somebody who used to be, but you can still connect. It's in a funny sort of way. You can still connect with that spirit that they had by remembering all the good times that you had together. I mean, you have to grieve for the living sort of thing that's left, but something left them, and they just become like, I don't know, obeyers, followers, repeaters. I don't know what you would call it really nowadays. There's loads of names for it that we can all call them. Basically, they just repeat whatever they're told, and they lost that spark of like inventiveness and creativity. And it was, in a way, it's like a loss of a soul spirit, and it's like the new them is not there, it doesn't exist anymore. You can see the physical form, so your sort of senses get hacked that you think that that's the same thing, and it's just not. They are literally different people. And the good thing is to sort of let them go. It's not your job to convince them of anything or about anything, as long as they're leaving you alone and not trying to bully you to do anything or say anything. Then it's best just to leave them be and let them enjoy their lives, because you're only tormenting them and you if you try and remain as part of your life. Just let it go with grace, and yeah, move on. It's got to be, there's got to be a point where you draw a line under it and you just go, that's it. It's not, this is not the person that I knew, and the feeling isn't there anymore. This person is like gone. They're just gone. And you're sort of grieving that ghost, but you can still connect with that, obviously, through your memories of times past and stuff. And sometimes they've even forgotten those things that you've done together. They've changed so much in their mind. It's almost like it's rewritten their life. It's ever so weird. Like, this is beyond Alzheimer's or anything like that. This is into the realms of like actual mind manipulation or something. It's obviously, there's a lot of, I'm not going to mention any trigger words, but there's probably a lot of outlets that are feeding them a lot of things that just rewrite their memories and everything. It's amazing how much they've got them to ignore all what's gone on over the years. But we still know, we still remember, and whether they remember it or remember it at all or remember it that way is up to them. But we still remember, and we must hold on to those happy memories and keep our charisma, because that charisma, that sort of creative charisma, that joy that you feel, is really hard to come by. It's like life's energy. It's really hard to build up. I haven't made any videos in a while, and I'll tell you why. One is because I never had any Wi-Fi, and there's no signal out here. There's nothing. I'd be lucky to send a text unless I'm up against certain windows in the house, So there's nothing at all out here. But another thing was, I wasn't feeling that connection. Like I feel again this morning, I wasn't feeling that connection. So why would I just fill my video library on here with garbage or things I wasn't actually connected with? When I speak, I need to feel that I'm speaking correct. if you know what I mean, and not even if what I'm saying is wrong or right, or people think is wrong or right, I need to feel like it's the best I can do, you know. And that same lack of posts, you know, I've just been sort of browsing through trying to get inspiration off others, but we all go through tough times in life anyway. And you know, it's just one of those things. Is a lot. There's a lot we've lost, and there's a lot to come to gain. And there's a lot of people that we see suffering who shouldn't be suffering, and we're still those wonderful people, but they are so tormented. And you're trying your hardest, and you're spread so thin that your life energy is gone just trying to feed them. But when you get, the best thing about stopping, and this is why it's so important to stop every now and again and just reevaluate life, is that the best thing about stopping is you reconnect with that charisma, and you tend to lift those people who are worth sort of lifting up or plowing your energy into. You tend to lift them out of that just by being your old self. Like, they see that old spirit, they see that the fun that you can make and the jokes and the satire, and it just makes people laugh. It completely kills it. I mean, that's why, you know, people who want to control you, they hate comedy and satire particularly, because it's really hard for any AI system to pick out what's satire and what's not. And we'll understand it. It's like our own sort of language that they just don't get. That not only the in a funny sort of way, the NPC is the AI. Well, we know that they are the actual AI, and that includes scientists, you know, atheists. It's like they are just. It's a hard one to explain now. I'm going to make a part 3 to other videos that I've made years ago. But yeah, we need to let them go and just concentrate on the people in our lives who you can see are suffering. And they're usually the people that are really unstable at the moment. They're doing things perhaps that they would never normally do. They perhaps are being a bit nasty in the way they speak and things like that. And you have to have compassion for them, because they're really suffering. And the fact that they actually feel something, it makes me sort of feel more encouraged to speak to them than somebody who just thinks the world's just exactly how it should be and everything's normal. And what's going on? There's nothing wrong with, you know, my life's great, and you know, I don't really. They don't see the wrongs in the world. The trouble is with people who see the wrongs in the world is that you start to let yourself into that world a bit too much, and that includes those of you who are getting involved in wars abroad and everything else. I don't really want to go into that on this video, but you'll be more help to everything and everyone, and to do with the situations itself, if you remain an independent person and strike when the iron's hot. Like, as in, anything that you've got to do, just wait for the opportunity, and then you go. You'll know when it is, because your spirit, your inner self, your ancestors, and everything that's ever taught you anything to do with life and all your past generations will all warn you via feelings inside of you when it's good to go. So you don't just do things on a reactory, get caught up emotionally and then do it reactory. You wait until you feel that real, like, you won't be able to not do it, basically. Whatever it may be, whether it's standing up to someone or whether it's standing up to a bigger system or anything, you will know what to do and when to do it, because your ancestors, they won't let you down.